Hello, my name is Aaron, and I like Smash. If you do not know, Smash is a crossover platform fighting game made by Nintendo. You may remember playing Brawl on the Wii, or maybe Melee on the GameCube, or the first Smash game, Smash 64, on the Nintendo 64. I personally play the newest iteration of the game, Smash Ultimate, although Melee is still a very prevalent game in the competitive scene, and Smash has been going up steadily in the overall esports presence, and I personally have recently gotten into the competitive scene, both as a spectator and a competitor. The way I explain it is that Smash is to me like what football is to a lot of dads. I figured a pretty good place to start to learn how to play is an overall view of the controls. We will just go over the basic controls, and then I'll go over some more advanced technical controls for those that care enough. So the game does have its own version of this if you stay on the starting screen for long enough, but it can be a little confusing for some people, admittedly. So this will be kind of my own rendition. In order to move around on the ground, or on stage, move the left stick. If you are playing on default controls, moving the stick up will input a jump. While also being in charge of movement, the left stick also inputs the direction for all of your different moves. The two main ones are the two attack buttons. There's the normal attack button, A, which is the right button, and the special button, B, which is the bottom button. The A button is the most important button in the game, and has the most amount of moves tied to it. While pressing A on the ground, your character will do a jab. There are different kinds of jabs depending on the character, and some characters have multiple jabs depending on how and how many times you press the A button. Inputting a direction and the A button will input a tilt attack. There are 3 tilts: forward tilt, up tilt, and down tilt. Another set of moves you can do while on the ground are smash attacks, which involves smashing the left stick in a direction while pressing A. Just like the tilt attacks, you have a forward, up, and down smash. It can be challenging at first, but for me personally, it is hard to do tilts over smash attacks. That is where the right stick comes in. On default controls, tilting it in a direction inputs a smash attack, but it can also be set to tilt, or any number of moves in the game. In fact, you can remap your buttons to do totally different things. I will just be showing you how the default controls are. The third set of moves you can do with the A button are aerials. You use these attacks after you input a jump. You have multiple options for inputting a jump. As I said before, using default controls, you can tap up on the left stick to jump. This is known as tap or stick jump. You can also use the X and Y buttons, the top and left buttons, to jump. There is a trick in Ultimate where if you press a jump button and A at the same time, you would do a short hop aerial. A short hop is just what it sounds like. Press the jump button once and you will do a full hop. But if you press it a little bit and let go, you would do a short hop. This is hard to do, so there is another mechanic in the game where if you have 2 buttons set to jump and press them together, you would do a short hop. Now that I've gone over how to jump, pressing A while in the air will do an aerial. Neutral air, with no direction input. Forward air, back air, up air, and down air. You may also hear these moves be referred to as nair, fair, bear, and dare. Up air remains the same usually, although some people like to say air. Similar to the A button moves, also known as normals, there are 4 special moves that you can do with the B button that you can use in the air or on the ground. However, some special moves work differently if you are in the air. There's a neutral special, side special, down special, and up special. They are commonly called neutral B, side B, down B, and up B. The up B is one of the most crucial moves in a character's kit, and I will get into this in the next part of the video. But this is a move that can help you recover when you get knocked off of the stage. If you are following along with a controller in your hands, you may be wondering what the 4, or 3 depending on if you are using a GameCube controller, what those buttons on the back of your controller are for. On a normal Pro controller or double Joy-Cons, the bigger buttons, ZL and ZR, are used to shield, which shields you from attacks. But be careful. Your shield can break if it sustains enough damage, and some moves do more shield damage than others. But don't worry, your shield heals itself when you aren't using it. The other buttons, L and R, are your grab buttons. You can grab opponents while they are on the ground or even shielding. Once you've grabbed someone, input a direction with either stick to throw them. Each character has 4 throws: forward throw, back throw, down throw, and up throw. But can you grab or shield in the air? Well, no, unless one of your specials can grab an opponent, but that's something else. Pressing the shield or grab button in the air will make you do an air dodge. Pressing a direction along with it will do a directional air dodge. This will make you invincible for a short while, and each character only has one air dodge before they get back to stage or grab the ledge. This is also how jumps get refreshed, although some characters have more jumps than others. The 4 buttons in the middle are just the pause, home, and screenshot buttons, and I don't think the minus button does anything important. The D-pad inputs your taunts. Each character has 4 of them. Try them out. Some are very cool and some are very funny. There are some techniques which exist in the game that the game doesn't really tell you. Chiefly among them are teching, DI, and SDI. You can tech against any surface by pressing shield or grab while you are in tumble. While on stage, you can tech in place and tech roll either way with the left stick. You can also tech under the stage to avoid a stage spike. DI, directional influence or input, you can think of as your drift. What direction you want your character to go in. This can save your life from certain moves that would kill you otherwise. This can also be used to escape combos by making certain things not guaranteed. SDI, or Smash Directional Influence, is very similar to DI in that it can save your life. By flicking the left stick over and over in a direction you want to go, almost like wiggling it, it can help you fall out of certain moves early, such as PK Fire or Kazuya's 10-hit combo. I think that should be enough to work with for now. So now you have been introduced to the controls, but how exactly does this game work? What are the rules, the objectives? What should I know in order to succeed, or at least get on the right track? Hopefully, I will answer all of those questions in this segment. Since this is meant to learn competitive skill, I will be explaining the rules under the standard competitive rule set run at Smash events all over the world, give or take a couple tweaks from tournament to tournament. The standard rule set is obviously legal stages selected by the tournament organizer. 3 stocks, 7 minutes, no items, and no other factors that would make the game unfair. The object of the game is for you to kill your opponent 3 times before they can do the same to you. Lives in this game are also known as stocks, so make your opponent lose all 3 stocks before you do and you win the game. But how do you get your opponent to lose a stock? You must push them outside of the blast zone, which is an imaginary box outside of the arena. It is a little bit like a sumo match in that sense. However, you may have noticed that hitting your opponent does not send them flying very far. That is likely because their percent was not high enough. A character's percent in the bottom of the screen indicates in numerical form how far they will be sent if they are hit with a move. Even though it is shown in percentages, you will not always die at 100%. You can live to 200% sometimes, or maybe even die at 60. Or 0. It is a combination of the percent that you are at, the move you get hit with, and how you DI that determines whether you will die and lose a stock. To build someone's percent, all you have to do is hit them. Each move has an amount of percent and knockback, so certain moves are good to use during different points in a game. If you hit any one of the blast zones, you will lose a stock. That includes the bottom one. So if you get knocked off stage and can't make it back to the ledge, that's your stock. This is something that new players can struggle with, but usually pick up pretty quickly. A lot of these things are naturally learned through muscle memory while playing the game. But a good strategy when you are hit off stage is to drift towards the stage, jump, and then use your up B to recover. The standard and ideal flow of a game looks like this. Start the match by trying to raise your opponent's percent through the combos that your character has. Each character has combos that are effective, yet there is no way to look at them in the game. All combos are found and learned through the community. Once your opponent is to a certain percentage, you try to use moves that you know will kill and try to hit them with it. Sometimes certain moves are easier to hit than others, and will not kill, but will combo into a kill move. These are called confirms. There is another way to kill your opponent even if they are at a low percent: edge guarding. If your opponent is off stage, they have a limited amount of resources to get back to stage. If you can call out what they will do and counter that effectively, they might just lose a stock early. Spoiler, this is how all aspects of the game are played on a deeper level. Another aspect similar to edge guarding is called ledge trapping. Grabbing the ledge to recover is the safest way to save yourself from SDing, self-destructing. But you aren't actually on stage yet, and you have a couple options to get off the ledge. There is normal get up by tilting the left stick, attack get up by pressing A, roll get up by pressing shield, or jump get up by pressing jump. You can also drop off the ledge, by tapping down on the left stick. You can go on stage by jumping, or most people like to jump with an aerial. You can also re-grab the ledge, but the invincibility you get will not refresh. And some moves hit below the ledge, so watch out. Someone who is ledge trapping will try to predict or limit the options you do off the ledge so that you stay in disadvantage, the state of the game where you are generally in danger. Sometimes it can be hard to even hit your opponent, and believe me, I feel it. And in the moment, it is hard to know what to do. I'll go over just a couple things to keep in mind to help you out in what is commonly known as neutral, where no one is in disadvantage or advantage. One thing to remember though, it is better to be below your opponent when on stage, as it can be hard to get down from being juggled. The first thing to learn is something called the neutral triangle, and it works a lot like rock, paper, scissors. Shield beats attack, grab beats shield, and attack beats grab. If you see your opponent doing one of these things, you can defend against it, or do the right thing to get into advantage. You can also try and make your opponent think you are going to do one of these things, and then punish them for doing the option you predicted. This is part of a strategy known as bait and punish. Something else that uses bait and punish in neutral is movement and spacing. Most moves can be relatively safe, meaning that it is not possible to punish you for using them, if they are spaced correctly. Obviously, using a quick move far away from your opponent is an extreme to this, but this is the general picture. Spacing moves in a safe way in neutral is a great way to apply pressure on the opponent while keeping yourself away from danger. But spacing is sometimes hard to do and is a thing that you get a feel for. Something else that helps a lot in neutral is just reacting to what the opponent does. A lot of players, including myself, get into the habit of just running at their opponent. But if you are patient and wait for your opponent to do something, then you can react and punish them that way. That is why most, if not all, pro players do not look at themselves during a match, as they know the character well enough and it is much more effective to see what your opponent is doing better than to see what you are doing better. You know what you are going to do, but not what your opponent is. There are many different strategies, like rushdown or zoning, but they are all related to those previous concepts. With the paid DLC, downloadable content, there are 89 characters to choose from in this game. That can feel like a pretty daunting task, but honestly, that is a lot of fun in the game. There are so many characters to choose from and learn that the game really never becomes stale. In the act of choosing a character, you might not know what to do or how to choose a character. Well, there are a couple options for how you can do this. The first option, and one that I would like to recommend, is just to play who you like. Maybe you like Pokemon and pick one of those characters at first. But if the character ends up being too hard, or you just don't like playing as them, then you can pick someone else. You should have a couple characters that you're good with anyway. You could also opt to see who is good in the game by looking at tier lists and basing your choice off of that. And if you're really set at being competitive, then go with that. However, this is a very balanced game to the point of if someone is that much better than you, it will not matter what character you're playing. I would prioritize player skill over character viability, but if the character you want to learn just so happens to be a top tier, then that's all the more reason to get good with them. Another good option if you are lost is to just choose random and hope the right character finds you. It might sound silly, but I have found a couple of characters that I like to play just by choosing random. Also, just playing all of the characters can be a good way to definitively find out what characters might work for you at the moment. Although I have definitely thought that I'd found a couple characters that worked best, only to find that there are more characters that might be better for me. If a character seems interesting in their gameplay, or if you just like the character, that is all the reason you really need to pick up a character. There are 3 great steps I have seen and used myself to learn and get better at a character. Number 1 is to just play them. Play them against the computer, or against your friends, or even go online if you like suffering. This will help you to see what the character's moves are and how they work, and if you like playing as that character. After that, feel free to look up guides on YouTube on how to play your character to the fullest. Some characters are good at different things than others, and sometimes your playstyle works better with one character than another, but I should say that there isn't one right way to play a character if it works. Guides can help you with combos and confirms, as well as game plans and advanced technical things that are unique to that character. Training mode is a good place to go to practice combos and other things you have learned. After looking over some guides and having a good feel for how that character works, I would recommend looking at some gameplay from top player representatives of that character to see how they pilot the character, and how they work in a practical setting. Guides and combo list videos are great, but oftentimes it's hard to do some of the things in a real game. Looking at top players will help you to see what you might want to do against certain other characters depending on who their opponent is, because matchups against other characters is also a big part of the game. Some characters are just really good at fighting other characters. Pikachu, a combo-heavy character, can have a field day against Donkey Kong, a large, comboable character. All in all, this game is big and can be complicated, but just play a little bit and you will get the hang of it, and it will eventually become pretty simple. I know that I just dumped a lot of information on you, so please review this as many times as you need. I really hope that you learned something, and that this helps not just the beginners, but also some of the more intermediate players as well. Thank you so much for watching, and happy gaming!